Hello and welcome to Aravaipa Trail Talk number 59. Today is Tuesday, March 8th, and I'm joined here by Bryce Brooks. He's on our marketing team here at Aravaipa Running, and we're going to be talking today about the Crown King Scramble. It's the 30th running, and we've got an exciting event coming to Phoenix this Friday. We'll get into it just 1 second. Good morning, Bryce. How are you today?
Good morning, Jamil. Doing excellent. Yourself?
Awesome. I'm doing well. We have some exciting things coming up this month in March. We've got a little bit of a break here on the Aravaipa calendar, which is kind of nice, little breathing room. So we've got some other events kicking off. And at the end of the month is the 30th running of the Crown King Scramble. And I believe you are running your first Crown King.
I am running my first Crown King. I'm a little nervous about it. The elevation chart's a little aggressive, but yeah, excited.
As they say, it's just one hill.
That's true. Yeah, I was thinking if we're not doing the downhill, I might not blow out the quads as bad. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Definitely. Well, you've been doing, I know, a lot of research on the race, digging into the history books, so to speak.
Yeah.
So tell us maybe a little bit about, for those viewers out there that have never heard of the Crown King Scramble, and what can they expect?
Yeah. So Crown King Scramble is it's a point-to-point 50K run, which starts at Lake Pleasant and goes up to the Bradshaws and ultimately finishes in Crown King. So this event was kind of first put on back in 1987. So I didn't realize that this event had gone on for that long.
Yes.
It's one of the older trail races in Arizona.
Yeah. And at one point in time, it was, I think, one of the biggest 50Ks in the country.
Yes.
In the 90s.
Yeah. So just to kind of talk a little bit about how we did the research for it, because there's not like a real wealth of knowledge online. Jamil offered us to use his collection of ultra running magazines, which dates back to like the very first one. I want to say 1980.
It's May 1981 was the first published issue of Ultra Running magazine, which covers most of like the North American trail ultra events, road ultras as well.
Yeah, and so courtesy of Jamil, we were able to dive through those and find that's basically how we got all the research on the Crown King Scramble. So the first one back in 1987 was originally called the Edna Laughlin 50K, which kind of threw my research off a little bit when I'm digging through looking for Crown King. But yeah, it really took off through like the late 80s and 90s and kind of just became like one of, if not like the premier trail race in Arizona at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, how did it start? Like, what are the origins? Like, why Lake Pleasant to Crown King? What was there any significance? Is it just random?
So that's one of the things I'm hoping to ask at the panel this coming Friday. But the first one was created by Bruce Wise, and he wanted to do a training run for Western states. And so basically they drew up this point-to-point route that had like the most elevation possible. And that was kind of the origins of the course.
Yeah.
And then himself and Cal Lash in 1986 started putting the permitting together. Well, kind of, whatever the permitting kind of system
whatever
was
it
back
looked
then.
like back in the mid 80s.
Exactly. Yeah. And
when like trail runs weren't really an organized thing, like
totally
out there.
Yeah. And so they just basically just got a bunch of people lined up and just kind of ran the route with some minimal like water aid station support. And yeah, and so the first one, 1987. I'm not sure. I want to say there was maybe 30 runners entrants in that race. But yeah, it has come a long way since then.
That's awesome. Well, speaking of the panel, do you want to give us a little bit of an overview of what that's going to look like?
Yeah.
When is it? Where is it? And I think we're going to talk about some of the panelists that are going to be there.
Yeah.
Which is an exciting lineup.
Yep. So the panel is going to be this coming Friday, which is March 11th at 5 p.m. at Soul Sports Arcadia, which is on Indian School and Arcadia Drive. So we're going to be kicking off the panel first thing, 5 p.m. We're going to have a lot of kind of the founding figures of the race. The 5 I have confirmed, there might be some mystery panel members that will
Okay.
show up, but the
Nice.
5 I have confirmed is going to be Bob Kite, who actually won the first 3 Crown King races and has some pretty crazy stories from it.
I love the stories about Bob Kite. I can't wait to hear from him. That's so cool. He's going to be there.
Yeah, I got to chat with him on the phone, and he is a character. It was really cool talking to him.
Yeah.
We're also going to have James and Paul Benet, which are both kind of Arizona ultra running legends.
Yep.
Paul Benet has been running the event for like since I want to say the mid 90s. He has won it a few times. Just very, very good trail runner who's competed in like basically all the big races in North America. And his son James Benet, who actually first ran Crown King Scramble when he was 11 in like 1998 and finished.
Paving the way for young ultra runners, really.
Oh yeah,
I think he was like, one of the first children, I guess, or kids to be running an ultramarathon.
yeah, and I'd be willing to bet he's the youngest person to ever finish Crown King Scramble at 11.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in a respectable time too.
Yeah. He wasn't just completing it, he was competitive.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, he's going to be there. So James and Paul. We got Linda Van Tilburg, who has been like a part of the race from like almost the very beginning. She actually lived in Crown King for a while and was like a huge part of getting like the community support in Crown King for the race. And so she's like a big reason why it has gone on for so long and so successfully. So we got her on the panel. And
she's been a backbone of the Arizona ultra running history. I mean, she directed the race, I think, a few times, or maybe for a long time. I don't even know the full thing. And then also she was the Highline Zangray 50-mile director as well.
Oh, I did not know that.
And then, I mean, she's volunteers at so many events. Mogollon Monster, I think she's volunteered every year for 10 years. Black Canyon, 100K, I think the entire time. So
yeah,
just a huge piece of the puzzle here for Arizona ultra running.
I actually I see her name pop up in like research that I'm doing like on all these different websites. Like I see like race write-ups and people are always mentioning like running past Linda Van. So yeah, so that'll be cool. And then last but definitely not least is Scott Mojo Mod Zalewski.
Yep.
Who has ran the race 20 times already, and he is on the entrance list for this year. So this should make 21.
Yeah. Multiple time winner, I think, as well.
Oh yeah. Yep. And so if anybody is like myself running Crown King for the first time, he's probably the best person in the world to talk to.
Yeah.
You know.
He knows a thing or two.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I mean them, and then we might have some mystery characters who show up. But yeah, like super excited. It's just kind of just all different little aspects of the race. I feel like we're covering with that group.
Yeah, no, that's a really great diverse group. You've got like former race winners, you've got race directors, you've got the youngest ever finisher, you have probably the person with the most finishes. So yeah, that's really great. If you guys want to come check that out, be sure 5 p.m. at Soul Sports. It's like Indian School, I think near 48th Street.
Yeah, it's right next to Safeway over there.
Yeah.
Indian School.
It's the old I Run, now Soul Sports location. So that's super awesome.
Yeah, and then so for the event, we're going to do the panel at 5 p.m. And then Soul Sports closes at 6, at which point we will be going on like an hour group run, reconnecting at 7, and then we're going to head over to Tombstone Brewery in Phoenix, which is right next to Soul Sports, just for some post-run food and drinks.
Okay.
And then also after the panel, before we leave Soul Sports, we're going to be raffling off a bunch of kind of Aravaipa goodie items, as well as 2 entries for Crown King.
Nice.
Yeah, like fully comped. If you are already entered and you happen to win, this would move forward to maybe a different race.
Okay.
Moving forward.
Yeah, maybe next year's race.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yep.
Awesome. What else do you have for us?
So let's see. I have a lot of notes about the history here. And
yeah, let's get into it a little bit.
So, so 1987 was the first race, gained in popularity through the 90s. And then by the time like 95, 96, there were like well over 200 runners. At this point, they had added the 50-mile event too, which from my understanding started like ridiculously early in an effort to kind of match them up to the 50Kers as they kind of go up into the Bradshaws.
Yeah, I hadn't yet gotten into the sport when the 50-miler was happening, but from like reports I've read and what I know about where it started further west, more towards Wickenburg, near like a town in Morrison, I guess. And it was just a random spot on a dirt road.
Yeah.
And it was 3 a.m. start time. So you can imagine, I don't even know what time you have to get up to start your day.
I don't know if you
to
do.
run that race. It's like a midnight or 1 a.m. wake up call.
Yeah.
And then I know back in the day, they used to do a shuttle from like somewhere near the I-17. You would park there. They would shuttle you to the start, and then you would like catch a ride back down to get your car.
Okay.
Which was like, so you didn't have to go all the way west again.
Gotcha.
But I'm sure that was like ridiculous 1 a.m. shuttle or who knows what.
Yeah.
But yeah, you ran basically, I think you merged with the 50K course at the mile 4. So you had already run like 20 some odd miles of this new course merged.
Sure.
But then try and align it so that everyone's finishing it around the same time.
Yep. So you don't have people stuck up in Crown King until midnight.
Like finishing after dark.
Yep.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah. So and then the event was largely supported by Arizona Roadrunners.
Road racers.
Road racers. Thank you. Until about the mid 2000s. And it started to kind of taper off, and not as far as like the entrance list. Like there were still people who wanted to race it. It was more the logistical support. And then AZ Road Racers, is, from my understanding, is like a nonprofit, so it became a little challenging for them to put this event on every year. And fast forward a little bit to 2012, which the event at this point had not gone on for, I want to say, 4 or 5 years. And you were connected somehow with AZ Road Racers and picked up this event. With Aravaipa Running, and I was just kind of curious, like, what are some of your thoughts on it that you remember, like, before you picked this event up, or being that it's not as much like single track trail, it's just a little bit of a different race.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I started running ultras in 2005. I had known about Crown King Scramble, and I think it did happen the first couple years that I was running, like 5, 6, I think maybe 2007. I think it was off for a couple years, then it was on again, then it was off again. And yeah, like I was of the mindset, like I wanted to run single track stuff. And so it didn't appeal to me at first. Like I was like, oh, you just run up a dirt road and there's Jeeps. But then, yeah, I got out to the area a little bit more. There's a run that used to happen called the Castle Hot Springs.
Okay.
And they would start and finish around mile 1 of the Crown King Scramble course at Betty's Trail Rides. We would all just roll up there. It was maybe 20 people would show up. Just a fat ass.
Yeah.
Totally free event.
Yeah.
They would make like cowboy coffee over the campfire. It was like December or January time frame.
Oh,
and then you would go run like the first 8 miles would be shared with the Crown King course. Then you would turn left and you would do a loop and circle back around.
Gotcha.
And then you would finish right next to the Castle Hot Springs Resort.
Okay.
Back to Betty's Trail Ride. So it was like a 20 or 21 mile loop. Kind of a nice, maybe it was a Crown King training run.
Sure.
It's kind of the mindset, but it was kind of cool. It was pretty back in there. Kind of feels like the old Wild West out in some of those hills.
Yeah, it totally does.
Like there's random people living out there in these little pockets, little ranches and things like that. There was always some dogs chasing us, in the dry riverbeds. Kind of weird, but
Yep.
Yeah. And then, but yeah, that was kind of the issue, I think, is it was kind of put on by volunteer race directors, and it's a lot of work putting a race on.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it just became too much for some people. And yeah, we had the opportunity to connect with the road racers to revive the race and help bring it back. And yeah, once I finally kind of got out there, I was like, oh, this is so cool. And the history is great.
Yeah.
And it's been really great to reinvigorate the event. It's back up to similar numbers to its peak now, which is really great. We're seeing about 250 runners per year.
Yeah.
It's still kind of a more local race. It hasn't regained, I think, all of its prominence that it had back in the day, but we've had some incredible runners join this event in recent years. There's always, it seems like 1, 2, 3, or 4 like really elite runners every year.
Yeah.
We've seen course records fall. Like this used to be an Ann Trason course record type of a course, who's a legend in the sport. And now it's just been lowered multiple times. We've got the guys running, well into the sub 4 hour range now.
Oh, yeah.
Which is incredible for a course that climbs, 6,800 feet.
Yeah.
they just don't seem to care, and they just float right up.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the field this year is as stacked as ever, from what I've seen. So, yeah, it should be a fast running, I'm thinking, this year. You got your brother in there, I saw, Nick Curry on the list, as well as a few other racing team members from Aravaipa. So, yeah, should be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, finishing at the Crown King Saloon, which I don't think we mentioned, it's like Arizona's oldest saloon. It was moved from like a mining area that was lower on the course. They like piece by piece moved the saloon up to Crown King.
Right. Yeah.
And it's now, also the first major aid station that's crew accessible for the Cocodona 250 now, which is a pretty fun tie-in.
Yeah.
So it's mile 37 of Cocodona, which is, crosses the entire Bradshaw's. So, yeah, we definitely love the Crown King Scramble, and, celebrating the 30th running of it is awesome. The fact that it still exists, people know about it, are enjoying it, and we're excited for race day.
Yeah, it's I don't think very many races have 30 runnings at this point. It's one of the few.
Yeah. And like a point-to-point 50K is kind of unique too. And I think the logistics of this event are challenging. I mean, the second half of the race is only accessible by high clearance 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
It beats up vehicles. Like, we've had trucks almost destroyed out there, so it's definitely kind of crazy. If you want to have to take a shuttle van back down, it's a couple hours in a car to get back down. Just 30 miles back to where you parked. So.
Yep. And hopefully the weather this year turns out okay. I've seen, reading through some of the old race reports, I know the weather is completely unpredictable.
Yeah. I mean, late March, this course has seen like super hot temperatures. It's also seen snow on the upper half of the course.
Oh, totally.
And crazy mud.
Water crossings. Yeah.
Yeah. Multiple river water crossings throughout. But yeah, the change in the vegetation and everything is pretty amazing. So you go from the heart of the Sonoran Desert, saguaro cactus everywhere, all the way up to dense pine forests up at the top. So the transition and change as you progress up is really cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Spines to pines.
Spines to pines. Yep.
So yeah, we hope anybody watching can join us, whether you're running the event or just interested in some of the crazy history. I'm really looking forward to some of the stories from the speakers. I'm hoping I can get out of them by tailoring some questions, and yeah,
we got to ask Bob Kite about his bee pollen.
Bee pollen?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put that on the list.
Yeah. Some of his old reports that I've read is like he wouldn't stay in the greatest of shape, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
Like leading into the holidays, and then as soon as like January 1 rolled around, he would go on this like starvation diet. Somehow bee pollen was included. Maybe it helped him out, or he might have eaten bee pollen while he's running. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But he would cut a bunch of weight. He would show up in like prize fighting shape just a couple months later, and he would win Crown King
3 times in a row.
And then he would like take off the rest of the year.
Yep.
So it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we will be planning to record the session on Friday, and we will post it to this channel probably next week. But we do still have room in the race. So if you would like to sign up and join us for the 30th running of Crown King, head on over to aravaiparunning.com, search for the Crown King Scramble on Ultra, sign up, join us, sign up, be part of history.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope. I think you said it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. If you guys have any questions about the race, feel free to comment below. You can also ask Bryce as well. He's going to be towing the line, so good luck to you
Appreciate
out
it.
there. And we will see you guys soon.